A lot of games I've played, more specifically FPS games, feel like they're quite easy experiences, at least for me. There hasn't really been that many FPS games that are all that difficult in my time playing them. Most just feel like you can just breeze through the game, even when playing on a difficulty that is higher than normal. Although there is some exceptions to this, such as a game like Blood. Blood is noticeably harder than most other games that were released around the same time as it, such as the original Doom games, Quake 2 and Quake 1 also. But we're not here to talk about Blood. In fact, we're here to talk about a game that is kind of similar to Blood, only in the way that it's really difficult. But what is this game? Well, one night I was scrolling through my Steam library after being bored of every other game, and I came across a game that I hadn't played in quite a while. And this game is called Viscerafest. It's an indie boomer shooter being developed by Acid Man Games and Fireplant Games, along with being published by 1C Entertainment. At the moment, the game isn't finished. We only have access to 2 of the 3 chapters in the game. However, despite that, the game still feels like it has enough content in it for me to talk about it here in a video. Viscerafest feels really unique because of how the gameplay works. I'd even go as far to say that it's one of the best indie boomer shooters that's been released as of recent times. It feels like a great blend of many great FPS games such as Doom Eternal, Quake, Blood, and really just any build engine game for that matter. But yeah, let's stop wasting time and let's unpack this brilliant game. I present to you Viscerafest. Let's start off talking about chapter 1 of this game by going over what the game's actually about. The player character is a bounty hunter by the name of Caroline, who is short of the funds that she needs to be able to propose to her boyfriend. Because of this, she takes on the bounty of some dude called Cromune, who she needs to kill in order to get her money, obviously. However, this is no easy task, as she will need to fight through hordes upon hordes of unique and creative alien foes, which range from the most harmless aliens that beg for their lives when they see you, all the way up to this arsehole. God, this enemy is genuinely the most irritating thing ever. Think the Gore from Quake, but 10 times worse and 10 times more annoying. He also kind of looks like a green and purple version of those things from Halo 5. But yeah, anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so, something you'll notice pretty early on in the game is that Caroline is sort of like a build engine game character, such as Caleb from Blood or Duke from Duke Nukem 3D.
Don't have time to play with myself.
This is because she doesn't ever shut up, for pretty much the entire game.
Guns don't kill people. I do.
Although this isn't a bad thing in my opinion. Some may prefer their FPS protagonists to be the
Strong silent type.
but I think that Caroline's voice lines give the game a lot of character, and it also gives it a lot more identity compared to other games in this genre. I don't think the game would be nearly as fun if she was just completely silent. While we're on the topic of noises, I have to say that the music in this game is absolutely incredible, and it might be one of the best FPS soundtracks that I've ever heard. It was composed by Markie Music, and I would honestly put it up there with games such as Doom Eternal, Quake 2, and Dusk in terms of how good the soundtrack is. I don't think there's a single track in this game that I genuinely don't like. Here's a clip from one of my favourite songs in the entire game. The music in the game really makes the player feel completely unstoppable. However, this feeling soon dissipates because the game is brutally difficult. In fact, yeah, let's talk about the gameplay of the game, and more specifically, about how difficult it is. This is something that I've already brought up in the intro to this video pretty briefly, but I want to talk more about it here, because this game is really difficult, even to the point where the developers decided to put a disclaimer on how hard the game is.
Please note, Viscerafest is a very challenging experience. We recommend you start with one of the first 2 difficulties marked as medium and hard. And that's right, the easiest mode is medium, and even that one's pretty stiff.
I went through this game on hard mode, because I'm absolutely nails. Nah, I'm just joking, this game kicked my head in. I think in Act 1 alone I died nearly 60 times. The thing that makes this game so difficult is also what makes it so much more unique than other games like it. I know I've mentioned Doom Eternal a couple times here, but I really can't stress how much influence this game has probably taken from that game. And it's in the way that your ammo and health needs to be carefully watched and managed by the player. You can't just blast your way through this game like you can in others. No, you need to be careful with your resources. You can find armor pickups lying around, but that doesn't really give you the best help in the world, I don't think. And because because there isn't any health pickups, you need to resort to the only reasonable option, which is ripping the hearts out of your enemies' corpses and eating them. You know, just a normal day. But in reality, this is one of the grossest and most metal things I've ever seen in a video game. This gives you health back, and I'm pretty sure that depending on the size of the enemy, it gives you more or less health. I mean, I kinda lied about there not being any health pickups, because there is these big red hearts, but these are only really in secrets and boss fights, as they're kind of something that comes from bigger enemies, and you don't really find them in the normal arenas. And unlike Doom Eternal, you don't have to use a chainsaw to get your ammo, because there is also ammo pickups. However, the ammo pickups aren't really dumped onto you. A better term would be drip fed to the player, which means you have to closely watch how much ammo you're actually using, and use the right weapon for the right job, because trust me, you do not want to run out of ammo in this game, as you die very quickly. But what are the weapons that you'll be needing this ammo for? Well, here are the following weapons that you get to use in Act 1. Number 1 is the pistol, which is pretty much useless. Number 2 is the shredders, which I think they're really cool actually, and they stay relevant up until the late game. The double-barreled shotgun, which the name of it escapes me, but it's also really cool. The pung cannon, which is this game's take on a rocket launcher. However, it's not really a rocket launcher. I mean, it explodes if you fire it onto walls or the ground, but when fired at enemies it kinda works a bit like the Quake 2 railgun, just a lot less powerful. Our 5th weapon is a quad-barreled shotgun, which again I don't know the name of it, but it's really cool. However, you're never gonna have ammo for this thing. At least I didn't during my playthrough. Oh wait, yeah, I forgot one. The plague rifle. This thing's alright. I mean, it deals damage over time as it has like a cloud of plagueness or something. It's good when you use it with the shredders. I figured this out with one of the later boss fights, but I'm not going to show you this because I want to show you that later on in the video. But let's talk less about the weapons and more about the actual levels and stuff like that. For most of Act 1, you'll be playing through either a space station or some base on a planet. I really don't know what it is and I can't remember. But these levels are great and they're mostly just arenas broken up by smaller areas in between. And there's also these weird story segments, which I don't really like. They kind of feel like they kill the game's pacing and they're kind of just boring in my opinion. But yeah, in the more interesting normal levels, it kind of works like a lot of classic games where you have to find 3 key cards, or 2, or however many's in the actual level. However, they've got a twist. Certain doors are like secret doors and they're hidden away some places, but the key cards only work once. Within the secrets you can find useful items and save beacons, which I'll get to in a minute, and they also give you an extra key, so that you can open the necessary doors to complete the level. These keys work once, like I said, so if you have already opened certain doors then you might not be able to get into these secret areas. At least that's how I think it works. But yeah, save beacons, what are those? Well, in this game you can't really save scum your way through it like you can in a lot of older games. You have to find save beacons, which remind me a lot of the bonfires in Dark Souls because it's more up to the developers whether you get them or not. You can find them in secrets and after you pick up keys or complete big areas of the game, but you only get a limited amount of them, which means you have to be smart with how you place them around the world. Hopefully that should give you a great idea of what Act 1 of this game is like, but we're not quite done yet. What about Act 2? So right off the bat, part 2 is great, but I don't have as much to say about it, so I'll try and go over as much as I can without it dragging on. It takes you to some different places this time. There's still the same tech space station looking areas, but there's some more different areas as well added into the mix. There's a level on a train, there's a level on an alien village, there's even a level that goes underground into this like tomb place, I forgot, how do I know what that's called? Tomb place, we'll call it that. Which is full of these cultist guys, which are a new enemy that appears for a short time during the game. But to fight said enemies there are some new weapons. Firstly we've got the Warhound, which is a big grenade launcher that fires grenades, and then those grenades explode into smaller grenades, which also explode. And the second weapon is called the Barbecue Belter, which, as you can probably assume, is a flamethrower. And it also has the special ability to burn through an enemy's shields if they are a shielded enemy, which comes in very handy when dealing with a certain new enemy that's just been added into this part. The new enemy is these annoying things from the first chapter, I always forget their name, but they have a shield this time, which means you can only shoot them when the shield goes down. Solution for this is just to burn them all with a flamethrower. Oh, and something I really need to talk about in this segment is the music, because it wasn't just made by Markie this time. No. Markie had some assistance from GeoffPlaysGuitar. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Like, I genuinely don't. I'm just gonna say GeoffPlaysGuitar, but I know that's wrong. You may have heard of him, but if you haven't, then I highly suggest you go check out his YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description, along with a track list of all the music that's been used in this video. But yeah, the OST keeps the same kind of tone as the first one, but it's also different in some ways, and I really like that. And it's a good thing that the OST is good, because this is significantly harder than the first segment. I found myself dying a lot, but on the bright side, there's less of these story segments that were in the first chapter. They're still there, but even then, they're a lot more fun than the first chapter's ones. I'm not even going to talk about the final boss, but the first couple times I played it, I literally kept dying over and over again. I must have spent an hour or two trying to figure out how to beat him. But this game is great, and I started playing it because everything else was really boring to me recently, including Ultra Kill. And stupidly, Ultra Kill getting boring was all my fault. So if you'd like to learn more about that, then I highly suggest you click the video right there to find out why Ultra Kill got boring for me.